Hello, I'm Cynthia Martin, and I wanted to share with you today a little bit about this particular season called fall. I love this season. I'm originally from Michigan, and we have the beautiful fall colors and a display of God's glory all over everywhere. And I remember as I look into the season of fall about myself many years ago. I shouldn't say that long because I don't want to age myself, but probably 20 plus, maybe even 30, in which I found myself in a place that I was attending church regularly, but I wasn't really pursuing God. And what I mean by that is I was a church attender. Check mark. I didn't read my Bible. I didn't pray. I didn't do anything outside of my Sunday service and really Wednesday night attendance, other than I was raising my daughters the best way I knew how, which really wasn't very good. But I will say, that I had never had someone like a mentor or a coach or someone that I felt that I could trust in any way that I could ask important questions to. I remember asking the woman that I thought was the most spiritual woman that I knew, that I said, "How do you read the Bible?" And she said, "Oh, I don't read the Bible. I read books about the Bible." And I was so disappointed because I wanted something that was real and vibrant and alive and life changing and something that was truth that I could just really grab onto. During this time, I was married to a man who was very successful, and we had several things, and we had everything really that you could really imagine that you would need as a young couple with three daughters at the time. And I remember because our business and our personal life financially was very separated, and we received a very small income check that was a payment, like a paycheck, and it was very small in comparison to the kinds of money that we made. And that money was set aside, that was put in the household account, and I was told, you must live on this amount of money. And quite honestly, it might have been just enough to pay the bills and buy groceries. There was none left over. And as things were approaching, we had large quarterly payments that we had to pay to the IRS because we were self employed and we were making a lot of money. So that also came out of our household account. And I remember at the time needing something or maybe wanting, I don't even remember at this point what it was about, but I remember needing something, and it was something for the children. And I spoke to my husband and I said, we need this. And he said, well, you'll have to get it out of the family budget. And I said, but it's not there. And he said, well, you'll have to do better. And I remember saying to him, look, I can show it to you. And he said, you're just going to have to figure it out. And I remember at the time that we were really in a rocky place. And I remember thinking that this person's not listening to me, which is something that had happened my whole life. And it just reaffirmed the belief in myself that I didn't matter. And I remember being, after a long discussion about this need and how it was important, that again, he reiterated, not my problem. You're going to have to figure it out. And I remember being angry and saying to him, so what? You think the electric bill's not going to show up this month? And that was the end of the conversation. Well, don't you know, the next day I went to the mailbox and I opened the mailbox and there was the bill from the electric company. And the electric company had a zero balance. It said that I had double paid previously at some point when they did an audit, and this month there was no charge. And I remember being so, my eyes just got huge when I looked at this bill because I thought, wait a minute, this is the conversation that I had, and this is what I said to my husband at the time. And I knew during that point that God was really attempting to get my attention because I had this deep longing in me for something that was real and something that was truth because I'd been lied to and discarded most of my life. And I just couldn't put the pieces together. And this was way back, just to give you a clue, before the internet was really, it was out there, but really people didn't know what to do. And you really had to be kind of a computer wizard to be able to use it. So there was not the resources. I lived in a very rural, small town in middle northern Michigan, and there was really not the resources, nor the people that you could ask or that you could learn from. Now, I was in church, as I mentioned, every Sunday morning, every Sunday night, and every Wednesday night. And I was doing the best that I knew other than going to church. I didn't know how to pray. I didn't know how to read my Bible. I didn't know where to start. I even went to Sunday school. And I was learning in Sunday school, but it just was not ticking the boxes for me. And so at this time, when I saw this miraculous thing, I thought, oh, wow, God's looking out for me. But I just didn't know how to put it together. Fast forward a few months later, and I took my children always every year to a campground in northern Michigan. And it was a big deal for my family to go to this campground. And my husband didn't like to go. And so I wanted to buy a camper, and he didn't agree with that. And so he said, you'll just have to figure it out. And again, I said, well, what do you think? Money's just going to appear out of nowhere. And when, lo and behold, a couple days later, I got a refund check for $1,300 that I had overpaid some taxes. And it was the exact amount of a little camper that I had taken him to look at. And he said, well, you can get it, but you're going to have to figure out how to pay for it and who's going to haul it for you. And so the money showed up, and I was able to take that money and go and buy that camper and provide that vacation that my children looked forward to every year. He had even said, well, I take the kids and all of us go to Florida every year, which came out of his budget, right? And they'd much rather do that anyway. So I said, let's ask him. And the kids came around and said, no, we would rather go to camp than go to Florida and go to Disney World. And so even during that time, he said, well, that's not what I want to do. And so God, through those kinds of events, miraculous events, over and over and over again, God began to show me that if I would trust in him, he would provide for me. Now, that may not happen exactly that way to you. Maybe you're not as wounded as I was, but I want to say, and I will say, and I want to encourage you today that whatever is happening in your life, God is there to answer it. What's wonderful also is that today we have the resources that you can reach out and find help. You can find coaches. That's what I am. I help people through the types of things that I couldn't find help for. Because once I did find help and I got myself established in a deep and vibrant and real and true relationship with God, I promised him that I would help others. And I just want to encourage you today to say he's out there to help you if you need to take your children to camp, or you need to pay a bill or purchase something and you just don't know where it's going to come from. He can provide that. Not only can he wants to. The scripture tells us that he will provide all that we could ever ask or think of or imagine. But he also, if we'll put him and his kingdom first, he will add all these things to us. I hope that's been encouragement to you today. Again, my name is Cynthia Martin. You can find me online and almost every social media platform, preferably Facebook is my favorite, but I'm also on Instagram and Twitter at Cynthia Martin Online. I'd love to talk to you if you have any questions about how you can connect with God in a real and vibrant living relationship. God bless you. Thank you for your time. Have a fabulous day.